On the day of my grand wedding, a martial arts woman burst in. She lifted the red veil, playfully pinched my face, and praised, "The bride is so tender." Then she floated away. Ever since then, a black ink stain appeared on my face, which no method could remove. My husband disliked me and never stepped into my room again. My mother-in-law disliked me for occupying the position of the master of the household without giving birth to a child. Even my younger sister-in-law sighed that her brother was cursed to marry an unattractive woman. I became the invisible master of the Marquis, enduring hardships and managing the household. I raised the adopted son, and wholeheartedly planned for the Marquis until I discovered my husband and the martial arts woman enjoying flowers and walking in the spring together. Only then did I realize that my husband and the martial arts woman had been in love with each other from the very beginning. The martial arts woman did not want to be bound by the rules of the Marquis and left my husband, but she was also unwilling to give up her beloved. So, she used a secret potion to destroy my appearance. My husband had already found the martial arts woman and obtained the antidote, but under her tears and tender words, he threw away the antidote and made a promise to her, vowing to have no other thoughts. He remained chaste for her in the Marquis and played the lute with her outside the mansion, having a son and a daughter. The son was adopted by me to inherit the Marquis's estate. The daughter delighted me, and she would be married to a son-in-law in the future. For many years, they lived a very happy life, but I was the only one who suffered. I secretly gave the martial arts woman a soft muscle relaxant, set the mansion on fire, and notified my husband and son to come and save the fire, treating them as thieves and tying them up before throwing them into the mansion. I knew I had committed a capital crime, so I wrote a blood letter and rang the drum of the court, accusing the Marquis of favoring an outsider and mistreating the legitimate wife. The Marquis was stripped of its title and demoted, and I was sentenced to death. The Empress pitied me and allowed me to die after a divorce. From then on, I was no longer a woman of the Lu family, but a woman of the Li family. After my death, I saw the crowd cursing the Marquis and also saw the crowd cursing me as a poisonous. Right or wrong, let people say what they want, but I truly wasted my life. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the day of my grand wedding. The martial arts woman came flying towards me with a playful smile. I quickly pulled my husband in front of me. This time, it was my husband's face that was stained with a large black mark. 01. In the cries of Gu Feiyang, I came to my senses and realized I had been reborn. In the previous life, on the day of my wedding, I was publicly smeared with black ink. Gu Feiyang laughed and ran away. Everyone's attention was on me. I was frightened and confused, tears welling up in my eyes but held back. The maid who was supporting me wiped the black spots on my face, only to find that they couldn't be removed. Under the urging of my mother-in-law, I quickly covered my head with the veil and bowed first. Back then, neither of us realized that the black mark would accompany me for the rest of my life. Today, looking at Lu Yu's face with the ink stain, two thoughts quickly popped into my mind. 1. I want this ink stain to stay on Lu Yu's face for the rest of his life, making him regret what happened today until the day he dies. 2. I want Gu Feiyang to taste this pain as well. I want them to love and hate each other, suspect each other, and hate each other until they die. Lu Yu watched Gu Feiyang run away and let out a sigh of relief. Turning around to look at me, he was full of reproach. Xiang Xiang, you have disappointed me. Let's annul the marriage. I calmly pulled back the disheveled veil and threw it on the ground. In the previous life, I was married to Lu Yu for over 20 years, and we had never had conjugal relations. He was to remain chaste for Gu Feiyang. I and he were just strangers living under the same roof. In this life, we had not bowed together, so we were not really husband and wife. I want to be a woman of the Li family, not a woman of the Lu family. I no longer want to be tied to him. Lu Yu was confused, reaching out to pull my sleeve. Xiang Xiang, is it because someone was causing trouble that you want to annul the marriage? Around us, everyone was surprised. Lu Yu's mother, Lady Qian, had a face as cold as iron. Lu Yu's younger sister, Lu Lian, was also angry. I sneered. In the previous life, I also thought I was unfortunate to meet a crazy woman who disrupted my life for good. But later, I realized that Lu Yu, his mother, and his sister all knew about Gu Feiyang's existence and that she had a secret potion that could remove the ink stain from my face. Yet they all kept silent. My mother-in-law expected me to manage the household. My younger sister-in-law relied on me to earn her dowry and support her in her husband's family. They hoped that I would be self-disciplined and self-sacrificing, working hard to please them, so they could reluctantly use me while looking down on me. In this life, they would never be able to cast any dirt on me. I said indifferently, Mr. Lu, this ink stain is called Wu Shuang ink. It can't be removed from the skin unless a special potion is used. The person clearly came to destroy me, and the woman kept calling you Yulang. Mr. Lu, this is the flower debt you owe, and I, Li Shangjuan, do not want to marry someone who is fickle. Lu Yu was slightly startled and then his eyebrows furrowed. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill. I admit that I know the woman, but there is no secret between us. Today was just a child's mischief. 02. Actually, love and dislove are very clear. Her cunning and venom, in his eyes, were just a child's mischief. In the previous life, I had gone to Jingyan Temple to pray to the Buddha. I wanted to ask the most respected old nun there why I had to live such a hard life. When I went, the old nun was wiping the hands of a little monk she had adopted. The little monks were lined up, waiting for the old nun to clean the handkerchief and wipe their hands and faces clean. The little monks could have washed themselves, but since she had wiped the hands and face of one, they all wanted her to do the same. The old nun was not at all bothered. Her eyes were full of love. She told me that she didn't want them to become nuns when they grew up, just that she wanted them to grow up healthy and without illness. She said, "I know why you came, donor. If you can't be a child in front of him, he doesn't love you. If he can't be a child in front of you, you don't love him." I left the mountain in a daze. Suddenly, I felt that my marriage to Lu Yu was very fair. He could not love me, but as a man, he could openly love someone else. As a woman, I could not openly love anyone except my husband for the rest of my life. This marriage was not fair. I sneered, "If Mr. Lu doesn't believe me, he can use a handkerchief to wipe his face and see if he can remove the ink stain." Lu Yu stared at me, but he did not lift his sleeve. I felt even more sarcastic. He dared not verify. He guessed that Gu Feiyan was probably the one. This made me even more disgusted with him, and my anger surged even more. He knew everything, but he tortured me for a lifetime. He watched me live in abject poverty in the Lu family, but never said a word of justice for me. Because my sacrifice was the price of his and Gu Feiyan's happiness. Even the son might have been given to me out of pity for my plight. How ironic. Lady Qian, Lu Yu's mother, was anxious and quickly took out a handkerchief to wipe his face. Lu Yu dared not pull his mother's hand away in public, and was forced to wipe his face, which reddened his skin, but the ink stain did not fall, instead becoming even more terrifying. Lady Qian was panicked and immediately ordered people to find Gu Feiyan. She also wanted to persuade me, but was stopped by my family members. Lu Yu's younger sister, Lu Lian, hurriedly said, "Sister Shangjuan, don't you have any feelings for your brother? He has no secret with that woman, and it's all her one-sided affection." I said coldly, "Miss Lu, Li Shangjuan wants to marry a young and talented man, not such an ugly husband. Wait until his face is clean before coming to me, otherwise, just seeing his face will make me unable to eat." In the previous life, they enjoyed the luxurious life I provided, yet they still mocked me as an ugly woman behind my back, having nightmares just from seeing me. Of course, this is an exaggeration. I always wore a face veil, so they couldn't see the ink stain on my face. They just wanted to hurt my heart and make me sad. Because in this world, since my husband was the first to not love me and mistreat me, they also followed suit and insulted and mistreated me. Like a broken window, the person who wants to fix the window is a saint, but most ordinary people will just poke more holes in the window. Once upon a time, I was that broken window. Now, I will equally transcend every evil person. When I returned home, I immediately issued several commands. 1. Send someone to keep a close watch on Lu Yu. Gu Feiyan would not let Lu Yu suffer, so she would definitely go back to him. I want to make sure she has no way back, and I want Lu Yu to live with such a ugly face for the rest of his life. 2. Go to the Yuxianglu in the capital, the largest killer organization in the capital. I want to put out a bounty for people to hunt down Gu Feiyan. In the previous life, I had tried my best to find Gu Feiyan. I have a photographic memory and drew her portrait, trying to find martial artists, and trying to find her to get the antidote. Lu Yu, however, scolded me for colluding with martial artists, saying it would ruin his political career. At the time, I asked him how he knew. I kept this matter confidential, and the Yuxianglu has better confidentiality and will never leak a client's privacy. He replied coldly that it was discovered by his political enemies and ordered me to stop immediately, not to give him any trouble. Only when I died did I realize that it was Gu Feiyan who was hunted down and injured, and she cried and told him about it. That's why he came to me, pretending to say it would affect his political career and ordering me to withdraw the bounty. In this life, I want Gu Feiyan to live in fear every day. Since she doesn't like to be bound by the rules of the Marquis, then let her wander the world for the rest of her life. 3. Find a doctor in the mansion and give him a prescription to adjust the Wushuang ink. In the previous life, I could never find the antidote and had to make a lot of money, buying several pharmacies and hiring several famous doctors, starting with the prescription. I thought that as long as I could crack the prescription, I would naturally find the antidote. The doctors were indeed capable, and they came up with a prescription similar to Wushuang ink and tried to make the antidote. The antidote I used on my face only lightened the ink color a little, but did not completely remove the stain on my face. The doctors said that it might be missing the most critical 2 ingredients, which might not be available here and could possibly come from foreign countries. Gu Feiyan had traveled south and north, and I didn't know where she got such strange things. I had a regret, but I was not discouraged. I asked them to change the prescription to make Wushuang ink that had no antidote. At that time, I actually had an idea in mind. If one day I find Gu Feiyan, I want to cover her whole face with ink, making her regret what she did that day for the rest of her life. In the previous life, I used this formula to give her a soft muscle relaxant, blackening her face, but she died too quickly, and no one saw her black face, so I didn't feel the satisfaction of revenge, only a sense of absurdity. Everything was too absurd. Because of their love and hate, I became a sacrifice to maintain their happy life. But no one asked me if I was willing. In this life, she will never be able to live cleanly on this earth. 04. The last thing I did was something I did personally. I changed into my regular clothes, took my maids and servants, and rode in a carriage to an assembly. In a corner of the assembly, there was a man and a woman. The man stood with a sword in hand, his eyebrows lowered, and his handsome face was full of impatience. The woman was performing a trick, her appearance plain and ordinary, but her swift and fierce swordplay made her look heroic and radiant, with an inner glow. Her eyes were resolute, and she did not feel ashamed for performing tricks. After her swordplay, she picked up a small basket to collect her reward money, but the crowd hurriedly left, fearing that they would be asked for money if they stayed too long, and some even spat twice. The woman remained calm, and when she reached me, I averted my gaze, did not give her money, and instead went to the next tea stall, ordering a cup of tea. The man coldly said, "I've told you many times that this is useless, but you just wouldn't believe me." The woman did not like to hear such sarcastic remarks and replied, "Zhou Shishir, if you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to, just stay out of the way, no one is asking you questions." The man was called Zhou Wu, and the woman was called Chu He. They were master and apprentice, as well as enemies of Gu Feiyin. In the previous life, I had found out through various channels that the woman who had harmed me was Gu Feiyin, a somewhat famous female martial artist in the martial arts world, with incredibly agile and handsome martial arts skills. She was innocent and naive, with clear likes and dislikes, and loved to join in the excitement. She fought for justice and had done good deeds, but if one accidentally riled her, they had to be careful of her revenge, which could be extremely unpleasant. Zhou Wu and Chu He's master, Song Yishan, was an old martial artist who later wanted to retire from the martial arts world and held a golden pot washing ceremony. On that day, if no one came to seek revenge, it would mean that all the grievances in the martial arts world had been let go, and from then on, he could return to a peaceful life. But unfortunately, Gu Feiyin burst in and called Song Yishan dad, then laughed and casually overturned the golden pot, floating away. It seemed that Song Yishan had gained the upper hand with a simple dad, but Song Yishan had led a virtuous life and had an exceptional relationship with his wife. The couple had no children, so they adopted Zhou Wu and Chu He as disciples to carry on the tradition. Suddenly, a woman called him dad and overturned his golden pot. His golden pot washing ceremony couldn't be completed, and he had a conflict with his wife. His wife did not believe that anyone would casually call a stranger dad and thought that he had betrayed their feelings, so she left in a huff. Song Yishan chased after her, but on the way, he met an enemy. The enemy had originally planned to settle their grievances and move on, but when they learned that Song Yishan's golden pot had been overturned and that he had a daughter, they thought he was morally inferior and that it was heaven's will that he could not wash his hands of the martial arts world without settling the score. The enemy had originally planned to break his arm to settle their grievances, but when Song Yishan was in a hurry to find his wife, the two of them lost their tempers, and Song Yishan was accidentally killed. His wife walked halfway, cooled off, and returned to find out what had happened, but she saw her husband's body and believed that she had caused his death, so she committed suicide next to him. Zhou Wu and Chu He have since embarked on a path of revenge. They sold their belongings and searched for Gu Feiyin everywhere, but now they had reached the end of their road. 05. Zhou Wu had always been proud and refused to perform tricks or work as a guard, so he thought of joining a relay escort at a relay bureau. But once he entered the relay bureau, he had to sign a contract for several years. Chu He disagreed, thinking that this wouldn't allow them to avenge their master quickly, so she decided to perform tricks to make a living and find Gu Feiyin after she got the money. In the previous life, Gu Feiyin knew they were looking for her, so she had someone block them and beat them almost to death. It was I who picked them up and brought them home when I left the Jingyan temple. After they recovered from their injuries, they worked for me. I hired a master to teach them. After they had learned their skills, they searched for Gu Feiyin everywhere. Later, Zhou Wu brought back a head and said that he had killed Gu Feiyin. But Gu Feiyin was stubborn and would rather destroy the antidote than hand it over. He couldn't bring back the antidote, and the most regrettable thing was that Chu He died unlucky. At that time, I didn't suspect anything and gave Zhou Wu some money to thank him for helping me avenge my grievances, and then let him go. I only regretted that Chu He died. I lit incense at night and looked at the kind-faced Guanyin, wanting to ask clearly, was it worth it to avenge with a life for a life? Chu He had said it was worth it. She said that Song Yishan and his wife treated her like a daughter, and there was no reason for children to be indifferent when their parents were killed. But I could not sleep at night. I had lit a long-lasting lamp for her for many years. The resentment in my heart was intertwined and never ended. I thought that revenge should be taken, but she should also live. Even if one had to exchange lives, one should use one's own life to exchange for many lives. But later, when I burned Gu Fei'in's mansion, I saw Zhou Wu rushing into the fire with a broken heart, wanting to save Gu Fei'in. Then I realized that I had been deceived by Zhou Wu. That head was not Gu Fei'in's, and it could even have been Shu He disguised as Gu Fei'in. This heartless thing could very well have killed Shu He. In this life, I found them early. I hope that Shu He can see through Zhou Wu's true face earlier. Additionally, I very much want to know what reaction Lu Yu would have if he knew that there was still a lover hiding beside Gu Fei'in. It would definitely be a funny feeling. Zhou Wu gave Shu He a cold look and turned around and left in big strides. Shu He rested for a while and then started shouting again. I watched her work until sunset, and she only earned a dozen or so copper coins, so her path to revenge was still a long way off. When she finished her business, I had my maid invite her over and asked if she would like to be my bodyguard. Shu He immediately refused. I wrote 3 characters, Gu Fei'in, with tea water on the table. She immediately stopped and looked around with suspicion. I laughed. Shu Miss, our goals are the same. She is also my enemy, but with your current skills, you may not be able to handle it. She immediately knelt on one knee and bowed. Please teach me. As long as I can avenge my master and stepmother, I am willing to be your slave for life. I helped her up, and I thought silently in my heart, good girl, I don't want you to be my slave. I only wish that you could live as freely and joyfully in this world as I do. On the way back, I went to the Jingyan temple and donated some money to the young Jing and senior abbot. Senior abbot Jingyan asked, Layman, would you like to draw a stick? I am willing to interpret it for you. She had already gained a reputation and no longer easily interpreted sticks for others. But I shook my head and refused. My wish was not something that a stick could solve. What makes people not afraid of poverty is becoming wealthy. What can truly relieve my worries is avenging my grievances. Now, I can't see through it, and I don't want to see through it. Senior abbot Jingyan laughed. Then I will give you a word. Destiny is not predetermined. Your every word and action hides fate. Fate changes, but what never changes is change. I wish you success in your wishes. I cupped my hands in thanks and walked down the mountain with a relaxed demeanor. Below the mountain, I still had a tough battle to fight. 06. I brought Shu He back to the mansion and faced a 3-court hearing as soon as I entered. My parents and countless relatives were looking at me. They needed me to give an explanation. They treated me as a Li family daughter, and to the outside world, they had protected me all day. But internally, they needed me to clarify why I had to withdraw from the marriage with the Lu family. I slowly knelt down and said softly, Father, Mother, all my uncles and aunts, it is I who have brought shame to the Li family, but I do not regret withdrawing the marriage. Lu Yu does not deserve me. Lu Yu had an affair with that woman, and the woman did not want to be bound by the rules of the Marquis family, so she left Lu Yu. But she was not satisfied, so she deliberately tried to destroy my appearance at the wedding banquet. Lu Yu knew about it all along, but in the eyes of everyone, he did not dare to scold the woman even once. If I really got married to the Marquis family, I would only have countless hardships waiting for me. The Li family daughter can be thrifty and hardworking, but she should not be treated as a cow or horse to be exploited and oppressed. My father's face was ugly, and my mother looked at me with full of compassion. People were talking and arguing. An uncle sighed. But you are too. The Li family has never had such a thing before. The Li family was a clean family, and marriage were only concerned with character. The daughters of the Li family had noble characters and far-reaching reputations and never worried about marriage. When the Marquis family came to propose marriage, they were concerned about the reputation of the Li family. My father investigated Lu Yu and found that people around him had good evaluations of him: handsome, talented, with an unlimited future, and rare in character, a promising talent. That day, my father asked Lu Yu 3 questions. Did he have a crush or a concubine? Would he take a concubine, and could he accept only one wife in his life? Did he have any love debts outside, and had he made any promises to others? Lu Yu answered firmly, no. My father investigated and found that there was indeed no such thing. At that time, we did not know that he indeed had a passionate affair with a noblewoman in the capital, but was fighting with a martial arts woman far away from us. I also didn't know why he said so firmly that he had no relationship with Gu Fei'in. Perhaps at that time, they had broken up, and he was in a fit of anger, and was at his most hate for her, so he could say such deceptive things without a care. But Gu Fei'in's angry intrusion into the wedding banquet made him see her insincerity and understand his true feelings. He really did not love me, and he really loved Gu Fei'in to the point of obsession. My parents thought that they had married me off to a talented and outstanding young man, and thought that I would be as happy as they were. But on the first night of my wedding, I sat alone, spending the time in idle solitude. Lu Yu said, I will help you find that woman. He spent the whole night with me. After that, he didn't want to come, and I didn't want to go. We respected each other as guests. Later, he advised me to let go. I don't care about how your face looks, you should also let it go, because between men and women, it is not necessary to have love. Now, it's also good to do our own jobs. If a person is a tree, I think my inner self is gradually withering because I have dried up and can't get a drop of water to nourish it. There are many people who need me in the Marquis family, but no one gives me a thank you. I want to accept my fate, but I am not willing to. I want to struggle to bloom a flower with my life, even if it is a very small flower. At least my life has been colorful. But it didn't happen. Until the end, I was withered and dried up. I was punished to kneel in the ancestral hall. Shui felt unfair for me. She accompanied me into the ancestral hall. She said, if it were me, I would kill those two people. 07. She's so cute. I have already been a good and sensible noble maiden in the previous life, so I don't care about it this time. I lit incense to my ancestors and then opened the window to let Shui take me away. Shui was taken aback. Ah, I laughed. Let's go. Aren't we going to kill those two people now? Aren't you going to kneel? I looked deeply at the tablets of my ancestors. Not at all. My ancestors wouldn't let their descendants suffer. I might have been reborn because the ancestors in the ground were knocking their heads to the ground to beg for it. How could they blame me? They would only feel sorry for me. He was confused. She pulled my sleeve and pointed in a direction. I saw a woman sneakily appear under the quiet and empty night sky. After checking around, she quietly tried to sneak into the Lu family courtyard. It was Gu Feiyin. I took out a whistle and blew it softly. Several people immediately stood up in the dark to intercept Gu Feiyin. Gu Feiyin's martial arts skills were indeed impressive, and she dodged and weaved among the few people, extremely agile, but in the end, she was gradually losing ground. Shui wanted to go up and help, but I held her back and let her watch quietly. Then I saw someone jump out, intercept the few people, and quickly save Gu Feiyin away. Shui was shocked and suddenly stood up. She recognized the person. It's Zhou Shishir. He caught Gu Feiyin. Let's follow and avenge ourselves. 08. She was very excited. I feel a bit sorry for her. In the previous life, she practiced martial arts diligently. She trained her life out for revenge against her master and mistress. She was stronger than Zhou Wu. But in the end, it was Zhou Wu who took her life, because she never suspected Zhou Wu. In this life, she will see clearly. I said, Miss Chu, from now on, you must hide your trace and not say a word. If you say a word, I will fine you a copper coin. Conversely, if you can hold your tongue and not say a word, I will reward you with a silver ingot. A silver ingot is 10 taels. Shui's eyes widened. She opened her mouth to speak, but then remembered something and quickly shut her mouth, nodding fiercely. We followed Zhou Wu. We saw Zhou Wu bring Gu Feiyin to a safe forest. He reluctantly let go of Gu Feiyin, stepped back, turned his face, and coldly said, Miss Gu, now you are safe, and you are fine. He and I hid behind a tree, and upon hearing this, her eyes widened. She wanted to rush out immediately, but I tightly held her, signaling her to listen. Gu Feiyin was still in shock. She looked around before looking at Zhou Wu and smilingly said, It's you. Why are you there? Zhou Wu snorted coldly, turned around, and walked away. Gu Feiyin turned her head around. Oh, she exclaimed. Zhou Wu immediately stopped and asked, What's wrong with you? My foot twisted. It hurts so much. Gu Feiyin said with a pained expression. Zhou Wu leaped up quickly and quickly rushed to Gu Feiyin's side, bending down to look at her foot and continuously asking Gu Feiyin, Does it hurt here? And here? Is this it? Gu Feiyin burst into laughter. Zhou Wu brother, are you caring for me? Why do you care about me so much? Zhou Wu realized he had been tricked and immediately let go of Gu Feiyin's foot, stood up, and fiercely scolded. You are a cunning witch, always fooling people. I will never believe you again. He left immediately. Gu Feiyin hurriedly said, Hey, I was lying to you, my foot is indeed not hurt, but my heart is. That one sentence kept Zhou Wu. Zhou Wu stopped in his tracks. What are you worried about? Of course, I am worried about you. I know it must be very confusing and painful. I deliberately kept away from you so that we wouldn't end up like this. I didn't expect it to still be like this. No matter what you say, you betrayed my master, and between us, there is only deep hatred. This time, I let you off. But if I see you again, I will never be lenient. She strode away. Gu Feiyin shouted loudly, Zhou Wu, turn back. Zhou Wu subconsciously turned his head. Gu Feiyin laughed and said, Okay, you have seen me again, you can come to kill me. Zhou Wu was so angry that he reached for his sword, but he couldn't seem to pull it out. Shuhi was so angry that she was seething with frustration. I tightly held her wrist and carefully observed Gu Feiyin. After living 2 lives, I still don't really understand Gu Feiyin. I don't understand what kind of magic she has that makes Lu Yu ignore etiquette and law, and makes Zhou Wu put aside the grudge against his master. I want to see more. Zhou Wu was so angry that his face twisted, but he still didn't pull out his sword. Gu Feiyin smiled brightly and leaped into Zhou Wu's arms, holding his waist, and softly said, Zhou Wu brother, I knew you couldn't kill me. You didn't harm me this time, so you won't harm me in the future, right? I know you are upset, and you hate me for disrupting your master's retirement ceremony, but do you know why I did it? 09. Why? The softness and warmth in his arms, Zhou clearly relaxed. He seemed to be looking forward to Gu Feiyin giving a reasonable reason, so he could put down his moral burden and no longer need to avenge Songyishan. Gu Feiyin let go of Zhou and said coldly and haughtily, "It's all because of your master's fault. He wanted to retire by himself, but he had to make you retire as well, not allowing you to keep in touch with me. He said I was always causing trouble and that I only had martial arts skills but no sense of reason. I heard all these things. I have a clear distinction between right and wrong. He was not good to me, so naturally, I had to retaliate." "What? Only because your master said bad things about me, do I not have the right to retaliate?" She raised her eyes to look at Zhou and saw that he looked bad, so she panicked. "Are you still blaming me? He was unlucky to be killed. I just wanted him to taste the pain of being misunderstood. If you blame me, just kill me. I won't complain." She stretched her neck, looking stubborn and determined, and was so hateful and beloved. Zhou sighed heavily, as if feeling very helpless. "You know I won't kill you." Gu Feiyin turned her anger into joy and smiled playfully. "Zhou brother, I knew you were the best." Zhou's cold face flushed with a smile, but quickly recovered, asking, "What happened at the Lu family? I heard you caused a scene at the wedding banquet today. Do you like the son of the Marquis family? When did you two become involved?" Gu Feiyin was not at all. She spoke boldly, "I do like him. What's so wrong with that? I have always treated you as my own brother. Don't you, like me?" She looked at Zhou with eyes that did not blink. Zhou was so angry that he didn't want to admit it, but seemed to be unwilling to accept defeat. "You, who do you like?" "I like him. What's so wrong with that? I have always treated you as my own brother. Don't you, like me?" Zhou was so angry that he wanted to kill her, but he never dared to say the words like. Gu Feiyin heaved a long sigh, feeling sorry for him. "Zhou brother, don't be angry anymore. You know that there is no possibility between us." "Why not possible? There is a gap between us because of your master's death. Although he was not killed by me, no one knows the truth, and they don't think so. They will point fingers at us. Can you really ignore the world's pointing fingers? And there is also your younger sister. I have heard that she is extremely stubborn. If you really get together with me, she not only will kill me, but she will also kill you. What will you do then? I don't want you to end up alone in the world, nor do I want you to be in a dilemma." "Zhou brother, calling each other brothers is the best result. We are indeed not meant to be in this life. Will you respect me and bless me? In my heart, you will always be my brother." She almost cried. Zhou softened, looking troubled, and said in a restless manner, "I won't let my younger sister kill you. I will figure out a way. But what good is it that you like him? He is the son of a noble family, and you are a martial arts woman. Besides, he is about to marry a wife. Such a man is not worthy of you." "Oomph. What's so great about a noble son? I Gu Feiyin am worthy of anyone. Besides, it was me who didn't want him, so he went to marry someone else." "Why did you go to cause trouble at someone else's wedding banquet? You are clearly not over him." "Yes, I am not over him. I want to see what kind of woman he is going to marry. I am still sad and upset. Why does he have a beautiful woman in his arms? I am jealous, so I went to disrupt his wedding banquet. I want him to remember my appearance forever. I don't want him to look at anyone else. I want to destroy that woman and make her disliked by others. I am a despicable person who is trapped by love. Are you satisfied now?" Gu Feiyin was acting childishly, but Zhou was so angry. He was so confused that he didn't know how to put his hands down. "I didn't say that. But you clearly thought that way." "No, I didn't. You kill that cheap woman for me, and I will believe you." "You are being absurd." "Yes, I am being absurd. I am not mature. Are you regretting knowing me now? Since that's the case, we will never see each other again." Gu Feiyin gritted her teeth, stamped her feet in anger, and with a swift leap of her martial arts skills, she climbed onto a tree. With a light tap of her toes, she disappeared in a few leaps and bounds. Zhou stood there, dumbfounded, and finally sighed heavily. He got up to chase after her. Just at that moment, Chui quickly shot a stone at Zhou's solar plexus. She hit him with great force, and Zhou groaned and fell to the ground. Chui rushed over, angry, and added a hand chop to the attack, making him completely unconscious. She then tied him up. She kicked him several times, full of hate. "Brute, brute, brute. Do you deserve your master and mistress?" She had never imagined that her master would be betrayed and killed by someone because he said a few bad things about Gu Feiyin. She also never imagined that Zhou and Gu Feiyin knew each other and had mutual feelings. She felt wronged for her master and mistress, who had raised such a cold-blooded person. "I also felt wronged for myself. In the previous life, my whole life was wasted by these three crazy old people. I blew a whistle, waited for a while, and then several people came running, throwing Gu Feiyin to the ground. These were the people from Yuxian Lu. They chased after Gu Feiyin and easily overpowered her, who was unprepared. I searched her and found 2 bottles of ointment. One was Wu Shuang Mo, and the other had a smell similar to the antidote made by famous doctors in the past, but it still needed to be confirmed. I locked them up in a secret room in a manner of the Lee family and kept them separate. I blindfolded them and woke them up with water. The first person to be interrogated was Gu Feiyin. After waking up, she turned her head around in confusion and shouted, "Who are you? What do you want to do?" I remained silent. Shui coldly whipped Gu Feiyin, pretending to be angry and saying, "You betrayed my brother, and I am looking for you for revenge. Tell me, where is the antidote to Wu Shuangemo?" Gu Feiyin said, "Are you Lu Lian?" 11. Shui hummed softly and did not deny it. Gu Feiyin was not as angry as before and relaxed a bit. It seemed in her eyes, Lu Lian would never harm her life. It was a moment of daze, and my discontent and anger surged out continuously, as if in tears, as if in a long, sorrowful tale. Gu Feiyin said, "I did not mean to harm my brother on purpose. It was that woman. She had no feelings for my brother at all. Otherwise, why would she hide behind my brother, allowing me to make a mistake?" Shuhi whipped Gu Feiyin again. "You are the cheap person. Who is it for my brother and sister-in-law to matter to you? Who allowed you to be so shameless and go to disrupt someone else's wedding ceremony? Did your parents not teach you etiquette and education? Or are you like an animal, born and raised without parents?" She took out a knife and held it coldly to Gu Feiyin's tender face. Gu Feiyin seemed to finally feel afraid and hold back her anger, said coldly, "The antidote is on me." Shuhi pretended to reach out to search, but naturally found nothing. She slapped Gu Feiyin's face with her hand. "You are lying to me. You don't even have the antidote on you." "How could that be? It must be here. How could I harm you, Lang?" Shui's voice became cold and fierce. "There is no antidote. You are deliberately harming my brother? If my brother's career is damaged, he will never forgive you. There was a rule in this dynasty: officials must have a proper appearance and be physically fit. If Liu cannot remove the ink stain on his face in time, his career will end, and he can no longer be in a high position with great power as in the previous life." Gu Feiyin was on the verge of crying. "Really? You should search again. How could I harm you, Lang?" Shuhi softened her tone slightly. "There really is no. Did you drop it on the road? Do you have any other way to make the antidote? This concerns my brother's whole life." "No, there isn't. This ointment was an accident. There is only one bottle of it. And the antidote is also only one bottle." Shuhi and I looked at each other. I sighed with relief. "That's good." Shuhi slapped Gu Feiyin's face again, gritting her teeth. "You have really harmed my brother. What should he do now without the antidote? You have destroyed my brother, and you have destroyed the future of the whole Lu family. Gu Feiyin, my brother will definitely kill you. Even if my brother doesn't kill you, Mother and I will never let you enter the Lu family." Gu Feiyin's face turned pale, and she was very upset. "I want to see you, Lang. I want to see you, Lang, and I have a way." This ointment was bought from a group of merchants from the western regions. You can find the antidote if you find the merchants. I was completely at ease. Merchants from the western regions, who just happen to sell this kind of medicine, are probably impossible to find even in 10 years. This is truly a chance in a million. That's why in the previous life, I searched all over the country and couldn't find this kind of medicine. Luyu is finished. I am very relieved. I took the whip and began to whip Gu Feiyin. In the previous life, I hated her for 20 years, but I didn't even know where her shadow was. In this life, I finally let my hatred fall on her in a real and tangible way. The whip cut through Gu Feiyin's face, leaving bloody whip marks on it. She screamed out loud, turning her head in disbelief towards me. "Brute, you dare to destroy my face? My brother will never forgive you." 12. I threw down the whip, put on a deerskin glove, and applied Wu Shuangemo to the place on Gu Feiyin's face where the whip had torn the skin. The black ointment seeped into the red wounds, and the red and black looked particularly tragic. I appreciated it for a while, and I felt that the dry heart of the past was slowly injected with vitality, which was exactly what I wanted. I walked out of the secret room to interrogate the other room where Zhou was being held. This time, Shui watched, and I did the interrogation. Zhou listened to the sound and guessed there were two people. He said coldly, "Who are you, and why are you tying me up?" I said calmly, "You don't need to know who I am. I want you to do me a favor. My younger sister is in my hands, and if you agree to kill Luyu for me, I will release your younger sister. How about it?" Shuhi took a deep breath and clenched her fists, looking seriously at Zhou's reaction. But Zhou's face showed a very hidden trace of joy. He turned his head and said coldly, "A man has his own principles. I will never be coerced into committing murder and theft. Don't you care about your younger sister's life? Each person has their own fate, and you can do whatever you want. And what about Gu Feiyin? Don't you care about her life either?" Zhou was taken aback and his face turned angry, gritting his teeth. "You are really despicable." Both Chu He and I were silent. The whip I used to hit him was the answer. I hate him for being selfish and deceitful in the previous life. Chu He was killed by him. He even had the audacity to come to me for money. This brute. I was tired of hitting him. Chu He took over. Zhou screamed in pain, and his blood soaked through his clothes. He quickly became a bloodied man. I said indifferently, "What a tough guy, but I don't know if Gu Feiyin can endure this beating." "Stop, you guys, don't beat her, I will kill. He gasped for breath to stop them, then said coldly, I know who you are Lu Yu's fiancé. Shut up, I have nothing to do with him anymore. He is now my enemy. I knew I had lost my temper, but for some reason, I couldn't bear to hear myself called Lu Yu's fiancé. It made me feel disgusted, deeply disgusted. Zhou Wu sighed heavily, advising me, Miss Li, Lu Yu doesn't like you, so let it go. You are talented, beautiful, and your family background is good. You can marry anyone you want. Why do you have to stick to one tree? I felt bewildered. In the previous life, he silently accompanied Gu Feiyin for so many years, even dying with her, and I thought he couldn't bear it, but I didn't expect him to think so much. It seems that principles are used to convince others, and when it comes to oneself, no principle works. I smiled sarcastically. You are not as magnanimous as you can watch your beloved person be with another man, and even care for them by covering their blankets, and even kill the rival of your beloved's rival, just to let your beloved person arrange his own affairs. Truly magnanimous, impressive. You, Humph. Zhou Wu was so angry that he couldn't find a word to, so he said blankly, I will go and kill Lu Yu. Hope you keep your word and release Gu Feiyin. Good. A word is our bond. I will send someone to keep an eye on you. If you deliberately reveal my identity in front of Lu Yu, I will chop Gu Feiyin into pieces and feed them to the dogs. Zhou Wu shivered without the cold. I signaled Chu He to leave and ordered someone to feed Zhou Wu a dumb pill before releasing his bonds. Zhou Wu was enraged. I said, it's just a dumb pill that makes you unable to speak. It will automatically expire in 12 hours and is harmless to humans. 13. This is from the assassin of Yu Xiang Lu. In the past life, I gave up halfway and didn't cooperate with them so deeply. I didn't even know. Regret. Zhou Wu let out a cold snort, and as the medication gradually took effect, he slowly managed to utter a sentence. Why do you have to? You and Gu Feiyin are strangers. Where did you come from such a big grudge? I was stunned by his question. In this life, in the eyes of others, it was Gu Feiyin who wanted to blacken my name, but instead blackened Lu Yu. We indeed had no deep grudge. What I did was excessive. Suddenly, I felt the bitterness of rebirth. No one knows your grievances, hatred, and resentment. They only think you went too far. You shouldn't. You should. But I quickly realized one thing. I shouldn't explain to people, nor should I prove to people, I want to be like this, so be it. There is no need to explain so much. I smiled faintly. You and Lu Yu are also strangers. I want to ask you, did Gu Feiyin save your life? You treat him like this. Before the paralyzing drug took effect, Zhou Wu uttered his last words. She didn't save my life, but I am fond of her, and I am willing to die for her. He left in a hurry, and before leaving, he insisted on hearing Gu Feiyin's voice before he would be at ease. He is a romanticist. The waiting process was very long. Chu He asked, can he kill Lu Yu? I nodded and shook my head. Just go kill him. The result doesn't matter. As long as he goes to kill, the people I arranged will expose his identity at the critical moment, and then he will get a royal warrant of arrest. He can't live a normal life, buy and sell things normally, and always have to hide and hide for the rest of his life. At that time, I will let him and Gu Feiyin leave together, but I will tell Gu Feiyin that he killed Lu Yu. I hope Gu Feiyin will still care about him and understand him, and not resent or hate him. Ha ha ha. At this moment, I feel like a bad person, and I feel excited at the thought of the bad things I am about to do. Chewy patted my forehead. Li girl, you laugh so terrifying. Me? I laughed enough, suppressed smile, and told Chewy a story. Once there was a woman, she was virtuous and kind, filial to her parents-in-law, and educated her younger sister-in-law. She took her husband as her god. Originally, her husband's family was very satisfied with her, but one day, a big, black mole grew on her face. The mole grew bigger and bigger, covering half of her face. From then on, her husband disliked her, her parents-in-law scolded her, and even her younger sister-in-law didn't respect her. But she still took good care of them with all her heart. She thought, since she had lost her appearance, she couldn't lose her reputation. These were the foundation for her to stand on. But later, one day, she found out that the mole on her face was deliberately caused by her husband taking medicine. Because her husband fell in love with a young and beautiful woman, and treated her like a treasure outside. The woman didn't have to serve her parents-in-law, nor did she have to educate her younger sister-in-law. She was arrogant and domineering, and made a fuss. But her husband liked her very much, not only went to great lengths to please her, but also promised to be together with her for life and would never touch any other woman. Her parents-in-law praised the woman for giving birth to sons and daughters, and her younger sister-in-law liked her and was closer to her. In the end, the son she gave birth to inherited the family business, and her daughter was married to a son-in-law, and she got everything. The legitimate wife was despised, disliked, and cursed. Although those people relied on the legitimate wife's hard work to live a stable life, they even cursed the legitimate wife for being greedy. Chewy, I can't understand why a virtuous woman only gets infamy, while the concubine gets everything. Why? 14. Chewy was silent. I was also silent. She looked at me quietly, and couldn't say a word for a long time. After a long time, she opened her mouth and said, Li Shangjuan, you see, I am avenging my master and mother-in-law's grievances, but in fact, I am not the favorite child of my master and mother-in-law. My master and mother-in-law like Zhou Wu more, and they have chosen Zhou Wu as the heir to the family. She was not a likable child since she was a child. Zhou Wu didn't like her, thinking she was ugly and not talented. She didn't understand it when she was a child, calling him brother. He was warned by Zhou Wu in anger that he would never call him brother again, only master brother. She understood Zhou Wu's dislike, and from then on, she only called him master brother in a proper manner, and no longer close. Song Yishan and his wife also liked Zhou Wu more, thinking he was a man, and he was handsome and dignified, not a disgrace to the family. So Zhou Wu only practiced martial arts, while she had to practice martial arts and do many trivial things. Li Shangjuan, you see, this world is full of malice towards plain-looking girls. Because of my plain appearance, I lost the favor of my master and mother-in-law, and the affection of my master brother. But what can I do? This only proves that most people in the world are ordinary people, and I just need to become extraordinary. Do you know? My master told me before he retired that I have a talent for swordsmanship. He said he would retire, no longer need people to stand on the family's banner, and he would fairly teach me his killer move. At that moment, I felt really happy in my heart, but I was also sad. Beautiful people don't need to compete, and people will offer them martial arts secrets. But for me, an ugly person, I have to work hard to get fair treatment. But I don't hate my master and mother-in-law, they gave me a life, and everyone is not perfect, just like I am not perfect in appearance, and they are not perfect in thought, that's all. Just thinking about this, I don't feel sad anymore. I am avenging my master and mother-in-law, not just for them, I am for the future me. I hope that when I am 30, 40, or 50 years old in the future, I can think about the things I did when I was young without any regrets. Li Shangjuan, I live for myself, this is my swordsmanship. My question is beyond my ability to answer, but I think there is justice in this world, otherwise there wouldn't be people in the martial arts world who do justice. If I meet that woman, I can't give her an answer, but I will kill that couple for her. I look up to her with respect. I have found a treasure. She is a pearl in the sea. Shuhi, I have thought a lot too. For girls like us, we have been taught to be virtuous and kind, pay attention to reputation, and pay attention to the honor of the family since we were young. In fact, we do rely on the family for a living, and without the protection of the family, I couldn't easily withdraw from the engagement with Lu Yu. The family is my turtle shell, I can hide in it when I encounter danger, but I have to carry it slowly when I'm not in danger, to prevent it from being broken. It's tiring, but I can't just enjoy the benefits of the turtle shell without bearing its drawbacks. The question you asked me, in fact, I have thought about it carefully. In fact, this is just my understanding. In fact, at the end of the story, the legitimate wife killed her husband, the concubine, and the children of the concubine, and she herself was executed. But the emperor upheld justice for her, and executed her husband's family. The empress pitied her, and allowed her to divorce and die. You see, stepping out of the original family, good people are still good people, and bad people are still bad people. So what is justice in people's hearts? That's it. If in an environment, good people become bad people, it must not be the fault of the people, but the fault of the environment, just step out of it. Shuhi, I haven't found my own path yet, but I think, one day, I will find it. And I hope that every person who has been bullied can become a hero for themselves, and not wait for others to save them. 15. This day was the happiest day since my rebirth. I suddenly felt that the heavy turtle shell on my body became a little transparent, and also a little harder, and I suddenly found that this shell doesn't have to be heavy and burdensome, it can also be hard and light, and take me to fly to the sky. Not long after, the servant came to report that Zhou Wu had returned, but he was bleeding, and it looked like he had failed in the assassination. Shu He and I looked at each other. I hurried to see Zhou Wu, and Shu He hid in the shadows. Zhou Wu was full of anger, pointing his long sword at me, but he reluctantly put the long sword back into the sheath when he saw the heavy guards around me. The assassin who followed him whispered to me. There were no guards defending the Lu family. Zhou Wu directly rushed into Lu Yu's room and stabbed him in the chest with a sword. It seemed that he was about to kill Lu Yu, when he followed him and shouted Zhou Wu's name, and then gave him a stab in the leg. The noise alarmed the guards of the Lu family. Zhou Wu dragged his injured leg and only escaped with great effort. He already knew that this was all done on purpose by me, and now he hates me to death. I felt very comfortable to hear this. Lu Yu didn't set up defenses, probably to make it convenient for Gu Feiyin to come and go in the courtyard, and he was sure that Gu Feiyin would definitely go to him to give him the antidote. But he never thought that the person who came was his rival. As for Zhou Wu, he would soon get a royal warrant of arrest, and he could live a life of being pointed at and talked about. But that's great. I carefully appreciated Zhou Wu's anger and smiled. I keep my word, I will let Gu Feiyin go now. Come with me. Zhou Wu was led away by people, limping with the pain in his injured leg, and followed me into another secret room. Gu Feiyin heard the noise and said immediately, Who? Let me out. Let me out. Zhou Wu also got excited and wanted to see Gu Feiyin. I ordered people to hold Zhou Wu so that he could hear Gu Feiyin's voice but couldn't see her. I walked to Gu Feiyin in front of me and pulled off the cloth covering her eyes, facing her openly for the first time. Gu Feiyin was angry. It's you. Yes, it's me. My mind was more peaceful, and indeed, when one's grudge is avenged, one will have peace. Scum. You are really despicable. If Yu Lang knows what you have done, he will never marry you again. You, such a wicked woman, are not qualified to be his wife. He is not worthy of me as my husband. You and he are a perfect match. I took out the antidote. The unique antidote at the moment. This is the thing I yearned for in the past life, and I still have a sense of unreality in this life. I calmed down and poured some of the antidote out in front of Gu Feiyin's face, leaving only a small bottle, enough for one person. Gu Feiyin opened her eyes wide, disbelief. Are you crazy? How can you do that? I said indifferently, there is only one antidote, but now there are two people poisoned, Lu Yu and Zhou Wu. Who do you want me to give it to? Gu Feiyin's expression changed. You captured Zhou Wu, brother? You, this wicked woman. I knew you had bad intentions. You deliberately deceived me. You were so crazy about Lu Yu. You must have kept the antidote for him. So if I choose Zhou Wu, I will fall into your trap. Is Yu Lang outside? Can he hear our words? You are deceiving me. Ha! If you don't choose, it means you don't want to save anyone, so I will throw the bottle away. I pretended to throw the bottle away. Gu Feiyin screamed, I choose Lu Yu. I stopped. Why? Because I am fond of him. What about Zhou Wu? He came to assassinate me for you, and was captured by me in the end. He gave up his grudge against his master, and was ready to kill his master's sister, afraid that his master's sister would come to avenge you. He did so much for you. Doesn't he deserve a bottle of antidote? 16. Gu Feiyin was stunned, and was stunned for a long time. She murmured to herself, he treats me so well. On the other side, Zhou Wu was listening quietly, not daring to say a word. He was full of resentment, and seemed very eager to know Gu Feiyin's reaction. After a long time, Gu Feiyin shook her head fiercely, as if she wanted to shake off the moment of warmth. I only treat Zhou Wu brother as a brother. Even if he is disfigured, I won't despise him. I will raise him as a brother for life. Gu Feiyin spoke resolutely. Zhou Wu's face turned pale. I felt the joy of inflicting harm on the heart. I clapped my hands and praised. The girl is really kind-hearted. Now the second question comes up. Just now, I did indeed deceive you. In fact, both of you and Lu Yu were poisoned by the woofing ink. This time, how do you choose? I ordered people to take a prepared copper mirror and put it in front of Gu Feiyin. At first, Gu Feiyin didn't care, but soon, she stared at the mirror and screamed. My face! Li Shangjuan, how cruel your heart is. How dare you treat me like this? She was full of fury, and the lovely face full of resentment. The beautiful eyes seemed to burst into flames, which was very different from the Gu Feiyin full of happiness I saw in the past. Happiness will make people radiant, but hatred will suck the vitality of a person. She was falling step by step, as if she had fallen to the same level as me in the past. But it's not enough. It's far from enough. I stepped back a step and looked at her calmly. Choose. Do you choose Lu Yu or yourself? I raised the bottle high and slowly let it fall in front of Gu Feiyin's terrified eyes. I choose myself. Gu Feiyin screamed. I caught the bottle with my other hand. Gu Feiyin fell to the ground softly, as if she had lost all her strength. Gu Feiyin, your love is just like this. I threw the bottle on her. She was afraid the bottle would break, so she held it tightly. Is this really the antidote? Ha! I didn't answer her. She could use it or not. I just want her to worry, torture herself, and be in pain. Quick knife murder is a happy revenge. Slow knife grinding is an eternal grudge. I have suffered psychological torture, and she should suffer the same. Go! Are you so kind-hearted? I sneered, and left with people, leaving Zhou Wu and Gu Feiyin behind. Gu Feiyin's face turned pale inch by inch, and Zhou Wu looked at her, and the love in his eyes was replaced by coldness. This time, it was not a camouflage coldness, but a real indifference. Gu Feiyin, in his heart, had changed from a sincere and heroic woman to a selfish and greedy person. Although he was also a scoundrel, scoundrels also longed for good people and disliked bad people. Gu Feiyin quickly covered her face. Don't look at me. Zhou Wu coldly untied the rope on her, and turned and walked away. Gu Feiyin felt his disgust, and her tears were about to fall. She picked up the antidote and followed quickly. Zhou Wu brother, wait for me. 17. Two people came out one after another, one in front and one behind. I looked at Gu Feiyin and smiled. I forgot to tell you just now, Zhou Wu was injured, and the injury is on his leg. Gu Feiyin was about to comfort Zhou Wu when I said, but this injury was left by Zhou Wu's assassination of Lu Yu. Lu Yu was stabbed in the chest, and his life and death are unknown. If you don't believe what I said, why not ask Zhou Wu and see if he will deny it? Gu Feiyin's expression blanked out for a moment. She asked Zhou Wu angrily, is what Li Shangjuan said true? Zhou Wu's dumb medicine had not worn off yet, and he couldn't say a word. He pointed to his throat, but Gu Feiyin, who was angry, couldn't understand. In the end, he glared at me fiercely and left with a limp, in a hurry. Gu Feiyin followed behind him, no longer eager, only confused and resentful. She dare not stay alone, afraid that I would catch her again, so she reluctantly followed Zhou Wu's footsteps. Chu He walked out of the shadows and asked, "Are we just going to let them go? Is the antidote really given to her?" I nodded. "Only after she has used the antidote will the nightmare officially begin. She would not dare to see Lu Yu again after using the antidote, and I would issue a kill order, so she could only stay with Zhou Wu to save her life." Zhou Wu was being hunted by the court, so he could only stay with her to cover up. I wanted them to have to be together, but to dislike each other, which was the most satisfying punishment. When I got home, the doctor had already made the improved frostless ink without an antidote. I looked at the small bottle of ointment and added a martial arts assassination order to the Yuxianglu. I wanted them to send the best light-footed assassins to track Gu Feiyin. I didn't want Gu Feiyin to die, I just wanted them to leave a mark of ink on Gu Feiyin's face every time. I wanted Gu Feiyin to be restless and not have a good day. I wanted her to age with a dark face and regret her actions for the rest of her life. But I also admire such people. How come? Chu He was startled. I sighed. She is a villain, always putting herself first and never letting herself be bullied. If good people could learn half of her self-first attitude, maybe they could live a better life. How to weigh private interests and public interests is always a difficult problem. But I hope good people can live better, not always sacrificing and paying. Once they live well, it seems like a sin. It shouldn't be like this. After finishing these things, I slept beautifully. I slept for 2 days and 2 nights. When I woke up, I felt refreshed, as if all the fatigue from my last life had been swept away. I looked at the young face in the mirror, but there were eyes that didn't belong to a girl of 16. Now I only have one enemy left, the Lu family. Chu He excitedly told me about Lu Yu's affairs. Lu Yu was assassinated by Zhou Wu and was seriously injured. He was now unconscious. He was a government official, and being assassinated was a major event. The Jingtian prefect had issued a warrant for Zhou Wu based on the descriptions of the Lu family. Now there are announcements of Zhou Wu's warrant posted inside and outside the city, and the Lu family took advantage of this to ask for leave for Lu Yu, hoping to be able to treat the ink on Lu Yu's face during the medical treatment. Madame Qian, the mother of the Lu family, had already hated Gu Feiyin to the point of no return and vowed never to let such a vulgar woman enter the Lu family. Madame Qian also came to apologize to my parents. One hand said that the Lu family was unfortunate, Banjintang lamented by a martial arts woman and falling into such a predicament. The other hand said that she likes me, a dignified and gentle maiden of a noble family, and hopes that the two families can put old grudges behind and become in-laws. 18. My parents threw her things out in order to cut off all contact with the Lu family in the future. If the Lu family dared to come again, they would be sent out directly. Madame Chen knew that she couldn't move my parents, so she began to actively seek out famous doctors to treat Lu Yu. But after trying countless medicines, the ink did not fade, but looked even deeper and more terrifying. The Lu family spent a river of silver every day, and Lu Lian had not gone out to play or shop for a long time, and she also had some resentment towards Lu Yu. Now the Lu family is always fighting and hitting, and there is no longer the happy and harmonious scene of the past. I couldn't help but smile with my lips. I had heard people say before that if you want to get close to someone quickly, it is to talk about someone's bad deeds together. Once I was the one they talked about, and they established an alliance through talking about me, and they were closely united. Now that I'm gone, they can't find a common enemy, so they can only attack each other and fall apart. It's really comfortable. Chu He hesitated again and said, Li Xiangjuan, your reputation may be ruined. But I think it's nothing. What do you think? I nodded and smiled. Indeed, there's nothing. Who doesn't talk about others behind their backs? And who isn't talked about behind their backs? I'm not a saint, and I can't expect others to be saints. As long as I live better and better, more and more people will say good things about me, and I only need to live well enough. The people around the ruler are all those who follow him. I just lost power. When I grasp the power, I believe that the good people around me will appear. At that time, I have to be on guard against the good people around me and listen to different voices more. I started to manage my dowry. With the experience from last life, these things were done more smoothly. I could even make up for the regrets of last life and find the former able-bodied people in advance, and run the shops more splendidly. In just 3 months, my shop became popular, and the new products were known to everyone at an extremely fast speed. People who said bad things about me were fewer and fewer, and instead, they said that people with such a temperament were the ones who could do great things. I finally understood the saying, history is written by the victors. When I understood this, I became more indifferent to rumors and gossips, and focused only on doing my own things. One day, I met Lu Yu. The moment I saw him, I knew he had also been reborn. His eyes were heavy, hiding the intimidation of a superior, but with such a face covered with a mask, it looked a bit ridiculous. He asked me directly, is Gu Feiyin captured by me? I looked at him and found a sense of comfort when meeting an equal opponent. The sufferings of my last life finally found a place of sufficient weight in this life. After all, he was the source of all my sufferings, and I have been waiting for this day. I smiled with a mocking curve, slowly walked to him, and reached out without hesitation to pull off the mask on his face. Lu Jun, why are you covering your face? Does your face have something that can't be seen? He was startled for a moment, then his eyes were angry and fixed on me. Li Xiangjuan, you are too overbearing. I carefully appreciated the scar on his face, extending from the cheek to the ear, with a blank spot in the middle, where Gu Feiyin didn't press it, making the scar look like it had run out of ink. A bit ridiculous. Lu Jun, you used to tell me that you don't disgust me, and I don't need to hide and make people laugh. Now I also tell you this to you, I won't laugh at you, and you don't need to hide in front of me. It's really funny. The same words pierced him, and I felt a kind of comfort. So this is what it feels like to abandon morality and be a villain. Lu Yu was silent. I'm sorry. I was startled for a moment. What did I hear? Sorry? But I didn't feel comfortable at all. I just felt angry. Can my 20 years of suffering be resolved by saying I'm sorry? No, never. I laughed lightly, took out a box of scar removal cream. Lu Jun, I don't have the person you want, and I don't know where Gu Feiyin is. But we both know how fierce the frostless ink is. Why don't you cut off this piece of skin, and I have the best scar removal cream, which I can sell to you at a discount. Lu Yu bowed to me. All that has happened before is my fault, but in the last life, my Lu family was destroyed and exiled, and your revenge has been avenged. In this life, we should be debt-free. Tell me where Gu Feiyin is, and we will end all our grievances. As compensation, I am willing to pay you 10 shops of the Lu family. I looked at him coldly and said indifferently, Lu Jun, let's make it this way. You have been covering this face for 20 years, and I will tell you where Gu Feiyin is in 20 years. By then, you won't be over 40, and you can still start over. What do you think? Lu Yu's lips were tightly closed. Since we were married, why do you have to be like this? Is the matter of grievances resolved, or is it over, is decided by the victim, not you. Lu Yu, there is no affection between us, only grievances, and I am looking forward to seeing your retribution. Lu Yu's face was serious, and his eyes were fierce, and he turned around and left with a swing of his sleeve. In the last life, Lu Yu became a 3-rank official, with power in his hands, and was a highly valued minister. I won't underestimate him. Chui soon found out that Lu Yu had gone to the Yexiangla to inquire about Gu Feiyin's whereabouts, but the Yexiangla refused him. Because the Yexiangla can't take 2 conflicting orders at the same time. But from this, Lu Yu concluded that I was chasing Gu Feiyin. He quickly contacted the rival of the Yexiangla, the Sanhua Pavilion, with only one requirement: protect Gu Feiyin and bring her to him in front of him. I thought about Gu Feiyin now, and couldn't help but laugh. Chu He had once gone to see Gu Feiyin. She had washed the frostless ink off her face with the antidote and made Zhou Wu happy again. But she clearly felt that Zhou Wu loved her less than before. She lost her temper, but Zhou Wu no longer comforted her, but let out a cold laugh, turned around and left. She was angry and left, but was soon chased by the assassins of the Yexianglu, and another mark of ink appeared on her face. But this time there was no antidote. She was terrified and hurried to find Zhou Wu, but saw Zhou Wu being hunted by the court, being chased by the police. She helped Zhou Wu, and after escaping together, they changed their appearance and left the capital, heading to the western regions to find the antidote for the frostless ink. I was looking forward to the scene where she had gone through all the hardships to the western regions, found the antidote for the frostless ink, only to find that the original antidote couldn't open the new frostless ink on her face, which must be very funny. And in this process, she was found by the Yexiangla people twice, and now she has 3 marks of ink on her face, looking like a cat. To get Zhou Wu to help her, she yielded to Zhou Wu. I was really curious what would happen if Lu Yu found her. That would be really exciting. 20. I notified the Yexiangla to stop chasing, but pay the money, waiting for the right time to restart the chase. Not long after, Gu Feiyin was found by Lu Yu's people and brought to the capital. On this day, I openly visited the Lu family. Chui followed behind me, with my teacher I had hired, and the 2 of them guarded me, with an imposing manner as we went to the banquet hall. I looked at the familiar pavilions and towers, and felt that the Lu family seemed to be in ruins. The Lu family in my last life was flourishing, with lush flowers and grass, and the colored paintings on the pavilions and towers were regularly repaired and painted. The water in the pond was regularly cleaned and filtered, and the pavilions in the water were also brushed with tung oil for maintenance. Every plant and tree showed care. But now, everything in the Lu family seemed dusty and worn. I walked in and saw Zhou Wu lying on the ground, with one leg bent in a twisted position. Gu Feiyin's hair was disheveled, and her eyes were filled with tears as she looked at Lu Yu. Lu Yu raised her chin and asked her about the antidote. Gu Feiyin bit her lip and refused to say anything. Lu Yu pulled off the veil covering her face with one hand, and his eyes widened in shock. He let go and stepped back several steps, sitting down in a circular chair. How could this be? How could it be? He exclaimed. I felt comfortable watching this scene and felt a lot of impurities in my heart had been cleared. Gu Feiyin turned her head to see me and quickly put on the veil, accusing me. It's all because of her. It's this slut who destroyed the antidote. I smiled, Miss Gu, you're not telling the truth. I clearly gave you a choice. Shut up, don't let you say it. Don't let you say it anymore. Gu Feiyin covered her ears. Speak, Lu Yu shouted angrily. I sat down and comfortably enjoyed their anger, with a smile on my face. See, I can also be happy and relaxed, as long as my enemies suffer enough. I will donate some money to Jing Nianin when I turn around. Lu Yu saw that I wouldn't say anything and vented his anger on Gu Feiyin. Speak, why don't you say it? Gu Feiyin bit her lip and refused to say anything. Suddenly, Zhou Wu spat out a mouthful of blood and laughed coldly. She dare not say it, because Zhou Wu, Gu Feiyin screamed. Zhou Wu paid no attention to her and continued to say, because there is only one antidote left, and Li Shangjuan asked her to choose between giving it to you or using it herself. Ah, Lu Yu, Gu Feiyin chose herself. Ha ha, she chose herself. Gu Feiyin's face turned pale. Lu Yu was as shocked as if struck by lightning. Zhou Wu laughed wildly, excited by the defeat of his enemies. But as he laughed, tears flowed down his face. Gu Feiyin, you make me sick. I even harmed my master and mother-in-law for such a woman. If I could be reborn, I would kill you, and I would definitely cut you into 1,000 pieces. He roared. Gu Feiyin trembled with her lips, looking at Lu Yu with a plea in her eyes. Yulan, it's not like that. I was too scared. I was afraid you would dislike me and not want me. I am really scared. Lu Yu bit his teeth and said, don't you believe me? Gu Feiyin hesitated for a moment, then screamed and asked, how can I believe you? We haven't been apart for long, and you want to marry a wife. You are so fickle to me. Why should I believe you? If it weren't for me making a scene at the wedding banquet, you and Li Shangjuan would have flown together long ago. At that time, would you still remember that there is still a Gu Feiyin waiting for you in the martial arts world? You fell in love with me at first sight. Wasn't it because you saw my beauty? Isn't it because you were infatuated with me? What's wrong with me loving my own appearance? Today's result is caused by your infidelity, not mine. 21. Gu Feiyin is my enemy, but at this moment, I admire her. People like her will probably always sleep well. The hall is silent. Everyone seems to have lost their strength. Lu Yu despaired. What does a woman's appearance matter? You just want your husband's favor, which I can give you. But do you know what will happen if I have a mole on my face? I will never be able to serve as an official in my lifetime. The emperor will forget about me, and my Lu family will be expelled from the ranks of the noble families in the capital. The title of the Marquis will end with me. I have to achieve some success to beg the emperor's mercy and allow our son to inherit the title. But because of your personal desires, all this is destroyed. What will our children do? Have you ever thought about it? He confused his past and present. He realized that he had no desire to explain. Gu Feiyin was confused and astonished. I said indifferently, who says a woman's appearance is unimportant? A woman's appearance is only sometimes shown to others, but the most important is for ourselves. Do you want to live a dignified life in this world? Don't we women deserve to live a dignified and beautiful life? Ha, ridiculous. Gu Feiyin said, that's right, I have no fault. Me, rarely, in this lifetime, I have united with my enemy. I find it extremely boring. I clap my hands, and a pair of constables come in, lift Zhou Wu, and walk out. Zhou Wu is a serious offender in the court. After I found out that Zhou Wu was captured by Lu Yu, I immediately sent someone to report to the prefect of Jingzhou, and thus, I received 50 taels of silver as a reward from the prefect. I asked those accompanying constables to wait, so that I could watch the play before coming in to capture people. Zhou Wu was led away with his head bowed and didn't even glance at Gu Feiyin. When passing by Chu He, he whispered an apology. Chu He stepped back, afraid of being contaminated. I left the Lu mansion and told Lu Yu before leaving. There is a medicine in the western regions, and Gu Feiyin knows about it. Lu Shangjuan, I don't believe you. I smiled, so what? You also have to go. Lu Yu is extremely self-centered. Even though he knows it's a trap, he will still jump in. He will do what I did in my previous life, searching for medicine all over the place, but with nothing to show for it. He is full of hope, only to be met with disappointment. Zhou Wu was sent to the big prison. Not long after, he was sentenced to death as a typical case. On the day he died, we were all busy. After we were done, we realized he had died. To us, he had become an insignificant person. After Zhou Wu's death, Liu sent Gu Feiyin to the western regions to find the medicine. Meanwhile, I started the assassination plan for the Yuxiang Tower. By the time Gu Feiyin arrived in the western regions, her face had very little fair skin left. Everyone found her strange, thinking she had contracted a serious illness, and everyone kept away from her, pointing fingers at her. And she had changed from sincerely wanting to find the medicine for Lu Yu at first to wishing he would die. Because at first, Lu Yu still hired the enemy of the Yuxiang Tower to protect her. But later, he couldn't afford it anymore, so he had to withdraw the protection. His men watched helplessly as Gu Feiyin was bullied. At first, they stamped their feet symbolically, but later, they just watched from the side. Gu Feiyin went from evading and hiding at first to accepting her fate. Once a person accepts their fate, it is the beginning of sliding into the abyss. I think, Even if she finds the medicine in the western regions, she may not bring it back to Luyu. Moreover, the medicine is difficult to find. How long will it take her to find it? Later, Luyu colluded with officials to suppress my shop. He hired ruffians to cause trouble and also had officials come to suppress. I treated this with indifference, because I had already driven all of Lu's shops out of business. Lady Qian had started selling her shops, and I had bought several. I had those ruffians and officials surrounded. Then I waited quietly for good news. Soon, the eunuch who was the queen's confidant in the palace personally sent a plaque that read, "The Merchant of Justice." 22. Over the years, there have been continuous natural disasters and calamities. I asked my mother to take me to the palace to see the queen and offered to donate the profits I had earned over the years to help with the relief efforts. That day, the queen looked at me for a long time. She smiled. "This girl seems familiar." That one sentence made my tears fall. In my previous life, I burned the mansion, killed the people who should be killed, and made the world know of my innocence. The emperor sentenced me to death, and I was not afraid. Killing for killing is what I deserve. Deep down, my greatest fear was that I would die as a woman of the Lu family, and in the afterlife, I would also be written as a woman of the Lu family, which would be a great insult to me. It was the queen who summoned me, take the initiative to ask me if I wanted a divorce. I nodded affirmatively. She looked at me for a long time and then nodded slowly. "You will get what you wish for. Go." I left in a daze, my feet injured, and I walked very slowly. I heard the palace maid beside the queen ask, "Your Majesty, killing your husband is a great crime. How can you still show her leniency? She is a good girl. She just didn't meet a good man. Even an earthen figurine has 3 degrees of anger. How can she not seek revenge?" When I died, my heart was peaceful. I thought, I had met a good emperor and empress. I was born in a good era, but unfortunately, I didn't meet good people. If there is a next life, let me live a better life. Oh, Lord, please. In this rebirth, I seek revenge, make money, win people's hearts, make friends with the nobles, and the only one I don't want to repay is the queen. I have saved enough money over 3 years to feel that I have enough power to stand in front of her. Before I went to the palace, I really wanted to proudly tell her how hard I had worked for the past 3 years and what I had done. I avenged the Lu family by selling their property. Lady Qian was so angry that she got sick. Lady Lu Lian has not been married off to anyone since then. As for Lu Yu, he now has a small position in a prince's mansion, hoping to bet on the right horse and rise with the new master. I have made a lot of money, enough for her to calmly deal with disasters. But when I really stood in front of her, I suddenly found that I couldn't say a word, and I could only bow and kowtow with my mother. Until she said this sentence, my tears flowed out. In an instant, all the emotions of the past and present surged. I cried uncontrollably. My mother was afraid I would lose my composure and urgently pleaded for mercy. The queen waved her hand, ordering someone to bring hot water and a handkerchief. Waiting until I had cried myself out before slowly saying, "Good girl, what's wrong with you?" When I left the palace, my heart felt like a piece of candy, sweetly emitting a fragrance. The queen accepted my donation and returned 2 gifts. One was the plaque, "The Merchant of Justice," which would allow me to freely operate my business in the future. The other was to give the relief efforts to the 7th prince, not the 4th prince whom Lu Yu served. The 4th prince, knowing that he was implicated by Lu Yu, quickly expelled Lu Yu from his team of advisors. Lu Yu invited me to meet, but I refused. I am very busy and have little time to give to the past. To me, every day is a new, sunny day. 5 years later, the Lu family was stripped of its title and the former Marquis was taken back. Lady Qian fell ill. At that time, Lady Lu Lian had already married into a small household, living a tight life. She was heard to pretend to be not at home when Lu Yu came to borrow money to treat Lady Qian's illness. Lu Yu had to go out and earn money to support his aging mother. The capital is big and living is not easy. Not long after, Lady Qian passed away, and Lu Yu couldn't afford a grave, so he had to sell his last property to bury his mother. But at this time, he still had a bit of pride, wanting to wait for Gu Feiyin to bring back the medicine from the western regions. So, I had the medicine sent to Gu Feiyin's hands. Gu Feiyin was overjoyed, applied the medicine to her face, but it was useless. She applied the whole bottle of medicine, but found it useless. Overjoyed, she was met with great sorrow. Gu Feiyin despaired and died in the western regions. Lu Yu waited year after year, finally losing that last bit of pride. Later, I took my lovely little daughter to burn incense at Jingyan Temple. The abbess Jingyan smiled and touched her hair, praising, "Little girl, you look so good, and you have a good destiny." The little daughter showed a cute little tiger tooth smile. On our way back to the capital, we met a beggar. The daughter said, "He is so pitiful." I looked at the disheveled Lu Yu and said indifferently, "Baby, don't sympathize with others randomly. You don't know if you are sympathizing with a person or a monster. Leave your kindness to those who truly need it, not to those who look pitiful. But don't be afraid. Mommy will grow up with you and share this prosperous era."